Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Card Show. Today's the first of what I hope are many sports card market reports that I'm going to try to do weekly. This is the first one I've done, so some of the things I'm going to cover here are a little bit dated, but nothing too old. And hopefully, moving forward, I'll have stuff that's all pretty much up to the latest current events in the marketplace. So let's jump right in here. I want to talk a little bit about 2023 Bowman, because this year was the first year that Topps, now owned by Fanatics, or really one and the same, it has offered Bowman as a pre-order directly from Topps.com. So this has never really been done before. Topps has always, sold to distributors who then may have pre-orders, but never done anything directly. They've, of course, in the last few years, started selling things directly on their website, but only after release, and generally a day or two after initial release, so that distributors and card shops and others who are direct customers of Topps have the first opportunity to buy new products when they come out. Now, with this 2023 Bowman, this is really a change in how Topps and Fanatics are thinking about distribution, because presumably they could sell a great number of products that otherwise, would have to be purchased from some of their customers, like David Adams Card World or Blowout Cards. Now you can buy directly from Topps, and Topps is cutting out the middleman for each of these transactions. So they make more money. The hope would be that the customer saves money, but as we'll discuss, that may not necessarily be the case, and oftentimes is not the case with the pricing on some of these products being sold directly by Topps. So 2023 Bowman, again, was the first product that Topps is selling as a pre-order. They announced this like a week in advance. This was up for pre-sale a couple of weeks ago, so it was quite some time ago now. But I did want to talk a little bit about it, because I'm sure the ramifications of this pre-order and of the new Fanatics / Topps way of distributing is going to be interesting to see and watch as it plays out, and could change the game for a number of players in the hobby. So this product launched again for pre-order a couple weeks ago. When it finally came on live, the pricing was not known until that until you could actually purchase. So the price of these hobby boxes you see here was $250, and I felt that was very, very high. This stuff has, I don't think, ever sold for that high of a price. Maybe 2020 Bowman got close to it, because prior to launch it was made known that Jason Dominguez, who was a highly touted international prospect for the Yankees, that nobody really knew when his stuff was going to show up and what products it would be in. So when it showed up in Bowman 2020, it was a big deal, and prices of everything went nuts as soon as it was announced. The pre-orders went nuts, and then when it launched, it went nuts even more. So that was probably, I think, the closest the Bowman hobby box has gotten to this price level prior to this 2023 pre-order. But now we see Topps really trying to squeeze every drop of profit out of the market that they can. And my prediction, at least if this pre-order had not happened, would have been that you would have seen boxes for much less than $250, at least the hobby boxes, because of the way that the market has been going lately. A lot of things are down. A lot of card issues now. A lot of sets, when they're released, start high and then end up going lower. We see that very frequently. I mean, you see that with Bowman's Best, which got hyped up for the 2022 release, even though it was released in 2023. Boxes were selling for $340, $350. Now they're down to about $320. You see this with quite a few other products. Pretty much anything not everything, but a lot of things that come out. Topps Heritage High number 2022, when that came out, it wasn't ever really that high, but it's sort of gotten lower and lower and lower and lower. Some things, do go up slowly over time, like 22 Topps Update Baseball has been sort of creeping up lately, and some nice, gains have been achieved there by those who've purchased that stuff. sort of after the initial boost in popularity, it slowed down a little bit. Now it's kind of creeping back up. People are seeing the value in it. So in any event, my bet would have been that $250 would have been high for the launch price of this stuff if this pre-order had not happened. But now with the pre-order, yeah, lots of people who've bought in at $250, and it did sell out. It sold out slower than the other format, the other hobby format that was a part of this pre-sale, which was the jumbo box, which sold for $399. So $400 for that one, which has 3 autos, and $250 for the hobby box, which has only 1 auto. Seems like a mismatch to me. So maybe they undersold or maybe they underpriced the jumbo. Maybe they overpriced the hobby. Maybe they were right on, and both of these products are going to sell for at least these prices or higher upon release. But no doubt the pre-order process here from Topps, I think, is actually going to create its own impact on the market and the pricing. I think now you will not see anybody trying to sell this stuff for less than $250, or maybe not much less than $250, because they know that Topps has proven that plenty of people have been interested in this at $250, even if that number of people is quite small. And if resellers price this at $250 out of the gate, they continue to try to get that amount for this box, interest drops off because lots of people only want to pay $220. Maybe they won't pay $200. Maybe they want to pay, under $200. And so the number of people that are willing to pay $250 dries up very quickly, or maybe over a couple of weeks. Then the stuff starts to drop off, like a lot of other products that start high. So we'll see. In April, I think April 26th is when this stuff is set to launch, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm a big fan of all Bowman products, Bowman Regular, Bowman Chrome, Bowman Draft, and I would love to open some of this stuff. There's a great rookie crop in 2023 on top of all of the prospects and draft picks that come as part of Bowman. So stands to be a really good product in terms of its ability to deliver value. But, I hate to see a product come out at its highest ever launch price at a time when the market has been getting hammered for the past, year and a half in terms of price levels. So who knows what will happen with this? I hope I can get some Bowman for less than $250 a hobby box. And I hope everybody who bought in, gets great cards out of their purchases. But as with everything, it remains to be seen, and we'll have to just keep an eye on it. Speaking of 2023 Bowman, I did notice an interesting promotion that is going to be done by Layton Sports Cards. As you can see here, there's a Twitter post by Mojo Break, which is a sports card breaker. And they have posted this announcement about what Layton Sports Cards is going to be doing on April 25th, which is the day before the rest of the world gets Bowman 2023 on April 26th. So what Layton's going to be doing is a sort of a pre-launch break of 2023 Bowman with an interesting twist. They're going to be doing real-time grading of cards in collaboration with SGC, who presumably will be on site with them. And they're going to take cards that are pulled from the break and grade them and encapsulate them while the break is still going. So, presumably they'll pull a good card. I don't know which cards that, if they're going to be grading like only autos or only autos and hits or, something like that. Or if, it's like going to be up to I can't imagine it's going to be up to the people in the breaks, because that would just be like crazy to get real-time communication from, hundreds of people in a break or in a series of breaks on what they want to do with cards that are pulled from these cases as they're broken. But in any event, it'll be interesting to see how that works and, kind of what grades cards get when they come out of pack, especially because, if you're like me, you've probably noticed that quality control from just about every product being made today is absolute trash. And just about everything has giant, chrome scratches or dimples under the surface or, God knows what coming off the cards. So we'll immediately get to see SGC, tell us just how crappy some of these cards are coming out of the pack. And maybe Topps will be less excited about this. when they see that happen. But they have given the okay on this, which they I think would have to have provided for these cards to be broken before launch date. Typically, anybody who's a distributor or direct account of Topps, as I trust Leighton Sports Cards is, will need the permission of Topps in order to break anything publicly before the launch date, because they do generally get their stuff, a day or two in advance of the rest of the public, or certainly the average, buyer of a sports card shop or an online card store. So we'll have to see how that goes on April 25th. It'll be fun because they'll be the first ones to go through this stuff. And so I'm sure they'll have a lot of eyeballs looking to see what's in the 2023 Bowman stuff that's interesting. One other news item I've got here is that there was a post on April 4th on Twitter by Shams Charania, who is a writer for Fanatic, or not Fanatic, but The Athletic, sorry. I think he's the sort of lead NBA person over there, and a lot of people posted about this Twitter mention that he did, saying that Fanatics is launching basketball cards under its Topps brand beginning with the 2023-24 NBA season, industry sources say. So that's very interesting, right? Because if you follow sports cards really at all, you know that Panini has had the exclusive license to both the NBA and the NFL franchises for quite some time. They their last renewal of that license, I think, had them going through. I think had them producing cards through 2023. So in 2024, Topps would who has gotten the license from those leagues sometime, like, I don't know, a year ago or so, right? That was negotiated, but we were all expecting Topps and all of their brands to start producing basketball and football cards in probably 2024. And yet here we have this post suggesting that Topps is going to be doing NBA cards in, for the 2023-2024 season, which would have them releasing cards, NBA cards, licensed cards in 2023. So a lot of people were not really sure what to make of this post, because Topps has done some things where they have made basketball cards without license from the NBA, where they've just posted, guys in like suits or, doing things other than being on a basketball court in their NBA uniform. And those products they've also done some college products as well. They haven't done anything that's base flagship Topps, though. They've done like Bowman stuff. They've done Topps Finest with that, but they haven't done the Topps, flagship product for anything basketball related, in the past years, basically since their license expired many years ago. So some people thought maybe that was what this guy was referring to. Since this post, some people have speculated that maybe there's something brewing where Topps is going to be able to produce cards in 2023, that will feature NBA logos and that will be, officially licensed. And the ways in which they could do that are, not zero, but there are, possibilities. They could get a sub-license maybe from Panini, that Panini could sell the license rights that they have to Topps in advance of when their license expires. Or, another option would be that Topps may be in advanced stages of acquiring Panini and the license rights that Panini currently exclusively holds. So any one of those is possible. Nothing that I've seen suggests that there's, any great reason to believe any one of those is true, or that, some other kind of tinkerings are in the work here between Topps and Topps/Fanatics and Panini. But I don't know. I've been seeing more people sort of speculating about this, and perhaps something big brewing between Topps and Panini that could perhaps allow an actual Topps NBA product in the next year's release of cards. Right now, 2022 cards, 2022/2023 cards are out. although not a ton is out. Hoops has been done. Court Kings has been done. Donruss, I think, is out. Yeah, and a few other smaller sets, but the big sets, have yet to become. But anyway, so those will be releasing for a very long time. Because it seems like every season now in sports requires products to be released for the next like 3 years, since we're getting, we just got 2021 Bowman Heritage released by Topps like last week. So that's kind of where we are at in the card production world right now. So who knows what this could mean, but it's interesting. A lot of people are talking about it, and I thought I'd mention it on this video. So the last news item I want to talk to before getting into some cards is the kind of kerfuffle that happened with Beckett Grading. They decided at some point that they were going to change their grading scale. For a long time, Beckett BGS, Beckett Grading Services, has had kind of an interesting sort of position in the market. Their Mint Plus, well, on here it's Mint Plus. Right now it's called Gem Mint, but 9.5s right now are always generally valued less than the PSA 10 equivalents for a particular card, even though theoretically those cards could be, nicer or as nice as a PSA 10 in terms of its, corners, edges, surface. And so I think BGS, has felt like cards they're giving a 9.5 have been devalued by the market unfairly if they adjusted their scale so that those cards now get 10s, even though they have the same subgrades as the 9.5s do currently, then maybe the market will appreciate them more. And I think that's what this scale, this was the new scale that they announced like a week ago, where a lot of cards that are currently in 9.5 holders would be Gem Mint 10s. I when I saw this, the first thing I thought of was my 2013 Bowman Draft autograph Aaron Judge rookie card, which I think was like a 9.5, 10, 10. And it was a BGS 9.5, right? That's how the subgrades on a card like that get broken down, or how they translate into a numerical grade. That card under this schedule would be a Gem Mint 10, and so that would have been a very nice card. I sold it actually last year, so it's all regret. But I was very interested to see this, and then just a couple of days after they announced this, Beckett announced that they were not going to do this. Apparently, they got a ton of very negative feedback, and a lot of people just really hated this for a variety of reasons I won't go into. But unless you're in my position, you have like one good BGS card and it would be in a 10 instead of a 9.5 under the schedule. Like you probably generally don't like this. Because, again, I'm not going to get into the reasons, but there's any changes in a grading schedule, I think are going to be, controversial. A lot of people have a lot of high dollar cards in current holders. And if they're going to, perceive the changes as negative towards the majority or all, or a good chunk of the cards that they own, they're going to be very, I think, upset about that. So that's what's happened. They got a lot of negative feedback. They announced that they weren't going to do this, and now they're saying they welcome everybody's feedback. They want to hear from you. What do you want to see in the changes to the grading scale that they, I think, still plan to do at some point, but maybe they'll actually just say, well, we're not gonna change anything. So we'll have to see what happens with this, but I thought that was an interesting news point. Let's talk about what cards are hot now. We've got basketball playoffs starting. And, there's been a lot of excitement and hobby interest in the big names in some of the top playoffs teams, like, Jason Tatum with the Celtics, Giannis Antetokounmpo with Milwaukee. All of those guys' cards have been, pretty high the entire season. And I think there's a certain amount of, kind of baked in appreciation with all of those cards. So you don't see a lot of price movement in them. And a number of guys, I think, are maybe starting to take off a little more now than some of those big names. Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of them with the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, he's still with the Grizzlies, who are the number 2 seed, I think, in the West. And, they look to be very strong looking for the playoffs if Ja Morant can kind of stay focused and put in, great performances, which he's done in the playoffs before. So you got to think these guys are a favorite to go pretty far into the thing. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is a pretty big, important part of that team. So, his stuff has been going up a little bit as of late. This is a 1 month graph going back to January. So it's kind of been up and down. And then at the end here, you'll see in the last, week or so, things are taking off a bit. Another example of someone who's kind of, in the last, I think, couple months of the season, Joel Embiid has really, I think, convinced a lot of people that he, is the favorite for the MVP. The 76ers looking to make some noise in the playoffs. His stuff is, again, it's not that it's been, static. It has been kind of slowly going up here, but in the last week or so, there's been like this one sale here of this Gem and 10 rookie of his Prism 2014 at $355 compared to the last sale, $250. So that's maybe an outlier, but I think you generally see an upward trend of his stuff as he looks to lock in, an MVP for this season. Of course, most of the energy, I think, in the card market these days is on baseball, which has just gotten started. Of course, football is in the off season, and hockey is, kind of still going, but we're not at the playoffs yet, or it's not close to them as we are in basketball. So baseball is really where a ton of the interest and energy is. And as with every, new baseball season, there's guys that come out of the woodwork and do great. And then there's guys who just continue their total domination of the league from the prior year. And Shohei Ohtani is one of those latter guys. You'll see in the last month, his stuff, has kind of been treading water before the opening of the season. But then around mid-March, things got real. And his stuff started going up, and it continues to go up today. He's definitely one of the hottest players. His cards are some of the hottest cards in the market right now. So things are marching up and up and up for him. This is his 2018 Bowman rookie card, paper card, very, common. If you've opened any 2018 Bowman, you've probably got a stack of these. You should do it like a lot of people have done and send them off to PSA, get them, at least the well-centered ones, get your PSA 10s back, and you got about $150 in value there right now. This card has been as high as like $300 back in 2021. In the height of the hobby mania, this was a very valuable card because there wasn't that many of them graded. Since I think a lot of people thought, why would I send in, a card that's worth like 10 cents before then, to get graded, and there were very few of them. And so the price was very high on the few that were out there when he was really, starting to do crazy things in 2021 and then continuing to 2022. So what can I tell you? If you got Shohei Ohtani, and who doesn't, if you've bought any cards, any unopened cards in the past, since 2018, you've got a lot of his stuff because there's a ton of rookies of his in products from 2018. And if you've got it, and you're not attached to it, then, now's probably a pretty good time to sell. Another guy who's on the up and up, who is someone who has sort of, I think, experienced his first, major success in the market as a major leaguer anyways, is Adley Rutschman. Of course, Adley Rutschman, I think, was the number 1 draft pick in his class 2019. And his stuff was always very popular, before he got into the bigs because, he was one of the top prospects. A lot of people are, super excited about collecting that kind of player and hoping that they, translate into the major league. So his stuff has always been at a pretty high level. He did make his rookie debut last year in 2022 for a pretty horrible Orioles team. This year the Orioles are off to a much better start. They have an amazing lineup with a lot of really young talent, including Adley Rutschman, and Adley Rutschman is raking. So he's doing really well, off to a very hot start. Orioles could do interesting things. Although, boy, they are in a tough division with the Rays still undefeated this year. The Yankees playing pretty darn well, and Toronto, no slouch either. They're doing really well. So it's going to be one heck of a battle to get the AL East this year. You have amazing teams in that division, and the Orioles have got the work cut out for them. But let's look at his stuff. This is his PSA 10 Chrome First Bowman. And for the last month or so prior to the open of the season, it was right about kind of $70, $80. Now that the season started, he's done really well. It's off, up over $100. Now kind of coming back down a little bit here in the past couple of sales. But if he continues to do well, I imagine that'll be a pretty nice card for months to come. But we'll have to see if he can maintain what he's been doing. So another guy who, has been in the majors for a little bit, but hasn't really until this year, I think, shown the potential that he showed as a minor leaguer is this guy, Wander Franco. Wander, of course, was the top prospect in baseball before he got into the major leagues a couple of years ago. Last year, he kind of didn't really do too much. I mean, he was passable, right? Wasn't hitting 150, but he, in the minor leagues, this guy was the best hitter on earth, doing like Vladimir Guerrero level stuff for quite a number of years. And so people were wondering, is he just going to come up to the big leagues and just, destroy and dominate? Well, not really. But you remember when Vladimir Guerrero came up initially, his first season or so, wasn't really, dominating him. Again, he was passable, and, not hitting 150, but he was not doing, the type of stuff Vladimir Guerrero is expected to do. And, after about a year of seasoning, he really got his act together. Last year, his stuff was very hot. He did very well last year. And this year, he's doing well. I'm not talking about Vladimir Guerrero in this particular with this particular page because we got Wander up here, but very similar in my view trajectories in terms of how they launched their major league careers, where they sort of struggled for a little bit, which by the way is not uncommon. A lot of guys need a year of seasoning in the big leagues to really get comfortable, and Wander Franco appears to be, off to a really great start this year. Of course, as I mentioned, the Rays are just dominating, still had not lost as of today, which is Easter Sunday, April 9th. So his stuff, probably has a ways to go because it got very depressed when, he was not doing all that great after being so hyped in the minor leagues and then when he initially came up. But this is his paper paper Bowman First, graded PSA 10. Now it's kind of headed up to the $50 level. If he continues to do well, it's going to be a $100 card, I'd imagine. Seems to be, what happens to first Bowman paper cards, graded PSA 10 of guys that are, sort of Acuna level talents. And he certainly could be up there with Soto, Acuna, and Guerrero. In terms of major league performance by, the end of the year or well before then, if he continues his current hot pace. Last guy I want to talk about is Gleyber Torres. If you're a Yankees fan like me, you've probably got a pile of this guy's cards sitting around, just looking at you going, hey man, you going to sell us or are you just going to ride us to the bottom? Are you going to wait till Gleyber gets traded to the Twins and his cards are worth zero? And I was having that staring contest with my pile of Gleyber Torres cards. Here's a kid that started off his career in, really impressive fashion, had a really great rookie season, has proven that he can hit, mid-20 home run levels and, give you a good number of doubles. And, is not a slouch on the base paths. He's a passable defender. He's not probably going to win any gold gloves, but, he does probably average in defense, so it's not a liability, I wouldn't say. He plays for the Yankees, so there's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of hype around a guy that can do well for the Yankees in the middle infield. So a lot of people, were pretty invested in this guy at one point. His base Topps flagship PSA 10 rookie cards out of 2018 Topps update, at one point were like $150 a pop in PSA 10. Those cards are probably Well, right now they're probably like $25. But in the off season they were maybe like $10 or $15. It was really, really bad how low his cards went. After it seemed like in the off season he was going to be traded. The Yankees have a wealth of middle infield talent in their minor leagues. It seemed like this guy was going to get squeezed out, and if he's not on the Yankees, his cards are just not worth anything. So, long story short is, he stuck it out, had a decent spring training. Seemed like they were going to trust him with the job at second base for the Yankees. And as we sit here on Easter Sunday, the guy is one of the hottest hitters in the game of baseball. He's probably top 10 in the entire game for OPS, on base percentage plus slugging. He's stolen a ton of bases. He's stolen like 5 or 6 bases already, in this very young season. He's probably one of the leaders in stolen bases, which I don't expect to continue, but, whatever. It's worth mentioning. Because if he gets it up to like 30 and he actually hits 30 home runs, I mean, holy smokes, this is a legitimate, star. But, Gleyber Torres, the story with him, he's been pretty good about staying on the field in terms of injuries. His problem has just been consistency. He gets really hot and then he kind of cools down for 2 months and, hits like 150 and, strikes out in all the big spots that he ends up in. Being where he is in the lineup. So if he can keep it going, and, I've read some things about him where he did some work in the offseason to try and, kind of be more consistent at the plate and work on some things. And here's a guy, I don't want to bore you with all my thoughts about Gleyber Torres because I have a lot, but I mean, here's a guy where if he sort of focuses on opposite field hitting and, doesn't worry about anything but hitting the ball hard and going with the pitch. I mean, from the many at bats of his I've seen, that seems to work out really well. But when he does like stupid things, like tries to pull balls, and he's not really a pull hitter, he strikes out a lot and he flies out to the mid outfield a lot. And I don't know. Hopefully, obviously, he and his coaching team know a lot more about his picadillos than I do, but hopefully they figured something out and this guy will keep breaking, both for the sake of all of our Gleyber Torres cards that we would love to sell at not a huge loss, and for the Yankees who really need production from their middle infield. So that's what we've got for today's weekly market report. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're finding some great cards to enjoy and collect, and we will see you all next week. Thank you.